starting with optical isomerism. Optical isomerism. This is a type of stereoisomerism. Stereoisomerism in the sense that they have the same molecular formula, same structure, but the arrangement of atoms in three-dimensional space will be different. Of what? Of the groups or the atoms attached to the carbon, right? So that is called as stereoisomerism. So we are talking about one of the type of stereoisomerism, that is optical isomerism. So starting with optical isomers, what are optical isomers? Optical isomers are the compounds have same molecular formula, same structure, but have different behavior towards plane polarized light. Different behavior towards plane polarized light. One isomer will be rotating the plane polarized light towards right, like this, clockwise, and the other isomer will rotate the plane polarized light towards left, anti-clockwise, like this. So this is called as this type of behavior, if it is shown to the plane polarized light, we call them as optical isomers. Now what are optical isomers? Same molecular formula, same structure, but different behavior towards plane polarized light. So before we move ahead, we should know what is plane polarized light. If we talk about the normal light, that is polychromatic. The sunlight is polychromatic. The sunlight is polychromatic. Poly means many. Chrome means color, or you may say many wavelengths. We all know that sunlight is containing visible light, containing 7 colors, as well as it has IR, infrared rays, it has ultraviolet rays, it has X-rays, it has radio waves, etc., etc. So many wavelengths are there. So that kind of light is called as polychromatic, which contains more than one wavelength in it. But if we talk about monochromatic light, what is a monochromatic light? Monochromatic light is which contains a single wavelength in it. The single wavelength is called as monochromatic. Now for the monochromatic light, we require a source of light, like we may take sodium lamp. Sodium lamp will be having the wavelength in a single region, or you can say in the single range, according to the yellow range or yellow color. So now this sodium lamp will be acting as the monochromatic source of light. So this is the monochromatic source of light. This is the monochromatic light coming from here. The light coming is like this, having vibrations in all planes. You can see that along this direction, all the directions. So it is having vibrations in all the directions and in all the planes. When such a light is passed through a Nicol prism, which is called as polarizer. When this light is passed through a Nicol prism, which is called as polarizer. So what this Nicol prism will do? It will restrict the vibration of this light in the single plane. So now the light will be coming in this way. You can see the vibration is only in one direction. Now this type of light is called as plane polarized light, where the light or the vibrations are only in single plane. This type of light is called as plane polarized light. Now when this plane polarized light is passed through an organic compound. So here we have a tube containing the organic compound. So here is the organic compound. When this plane polarized light is passed through the organic compound, it may be the possibility that it is rotated towards right, like this. It is rotated towards right, like this. Or it may be the possibility that it is rotated towards left, like this. Or it may remain as it is without any change. So if it is rotated towards right, we call it as dextrorotatory. The compound is called as dextrorotatory. If it is rotated towards left, we call it as levorotatory. And if it is unaffected, we call the compound, or we identify the compound as optically inactive compound. Now this entire thing is observed through another analyzer, another Nicol prism, which is called as analyzer, and this entire setup is inside a tube, and that tube is called as polarimeter. So what is a polychromatic light? That is sunlight, but for this particular purpose we need to have a source of monochromatic light. So we took a monochromatic light. When this monochromatic light is having vibrations in all the directions, but when it is passed through Nicol prism, which is a special prism, it will be restricting the vibration of this in one direction only, and this is called as plane polarized light. Now when this plane polarized light is passed through the organic compound, then it may be rotated towards right, that is called as dextrorotatory, or it may be rotated towards left like this, it is called as levorotatory, or it may be the possibility that it is not at all rotated, then the compound is called as optically inactive compound. And this entire setup is in a tube. That tube is called as polarimeter, and the angle of rotation at right or left, whatever, the angle of rotation is called as specific rotation. So now what is an optically active compound? What is an optically active compound? How do we define? The compound which affect the plane polarized light, which rotates the plane polarized light, is called as optically active compound. Now what is an optically inactive compound? Optically inactive compound which does not affect doesn't affect the plane polarized light. Is optically inactive. Now if we talk about the optically active compound which rotates the plane polarized light, it may be of two types depending upon the direction of rotation. Optically active compound may be dextrorotatory or it may be levorotatory. Now what is a dextrorotatory compound which rotates the plane polarized light towards right? Will be represented with the small letter D or with the positive sign. Or what is levorotatory compound which rotates the plane polarized light towards left? Will be represented with the small letter L or with a negative sign. Now the question comes, what makes a compound optically active, or what it is, or why is it that some compounds are optically active while some compounds are optically inactive? So what are the reasons responsible for a compound to be optically active? So we are talking about the reasons or the causes for optical activity, or the criteria which make a compound optically active. So optical activity, what are these? Number one, that the compound should have an asymmetric carbon. Compound should have an asymmetric carbon. Now what is an asymmetric carbon? Asymmetric carbon is carbon bonded with 4 different groups. The carbon which is bonded with 4 different groups is called as asymmetric carbon, or this is also called as stereocenter. That is also called as stereocenter. So the compound is optically active when it has asymmetric carbon. Now if the compound is having asymmetric carbon, then it will be having a non-superimposable mirror image. Now what does it mean? Say for example we have a compound like C, A, B, C, D. Now here this and this are in plane. This is away from observer and this is towards observer. Now what will be the mirror image of this? How will be the mirror image of this? So if we talk about the mirror image will be something like this. We may write in this way, that is carbon. Then we have A as it is. Now this is D. This is C. And this is B. So that is how the mirror image is. If this mirror image is rotated at 180 angle, then it will become like this, C A D. Now whatever was away from the observer will be now towards the observer, like this. So C will come here and B will be like this. So that's how the mirror image is. And now we can well compare that this is the known superimposable mirror image of this. So if we see structure 1, structure 2, structure 3. Structure 2 is the mirror image of compound 1 and structure 3 is the mirror image after rotating the mirror image at 180 degree, right? So now here we should see that 1 and 3 are known superimposable mirror image, are known superimposable mirror image of each other. And this type of known superimposable mirror images are called as enantiomers. Now what are enantiomers? Enantiomers are the optical isomers. Which are known superimposable mirror image of each other. Which are known superimposable mirror image of each other. So 1 and 3 are the enantiomers. Now one thing I want to explain here with the help of the day-to-day life example. Like say for example we have a left hand. If we keep it in front of the mirror, we will get the mirror image just like right hand. So if we try to superimpose, they will be. But we are supposed to superimpose the mirror image on the actual compound after rotating at 180. So if you will be rotating the mirror image at 180, the two are making the known superimposable mirror image of each other. So that's how it has to be. So it will be a known superimposable mirror image, and this type of compound is called as chiral compound. So the compounds which are optically active, which have known superimposable mirror image of each other, are called as enantiomers, and they will be optically active compound, and they are called as chiral compounds. And the carbon which is asymmetric is also called as chiral carbon. Now moving to the next factor, that the compound should not have any plane of symmetry. So the second factor is that known superimposable mirror image it should have. The compound should have the known superimposable mirror image. This is the second condition. Now moving to the third condition, that should not have any plane or any axis of symmetry. So no element of symmetry should be present. So this type of compounds are called as chiral compounds. and the carbon is called as chiral carbon. The compounds which have superimposable mirror image, say for example, if any of these two groups, say for example we are taking that propane 2-ol, we are taking example of propane 2-ol. So propane 2-ol will be having superimposable mirror image, that is why it is optically inactive. So if we write this, the propane 2-ol can be written in this way. Here is CH3, again CH3, and here is H. Now its mirror image will be something like this. It is OH, C, CH3, CH3H, and when we will rotate it at 180 degree, then the mirror image will become like this. So here you can see that the two are this 1, 2, 3, the compound 1 and 3 are superimposable on each other, and because they are superimposable, that is why these type of compounds will be optically inactive and they are called as achiral compound, because no symmetric carbon is there. Symmetric carbon is always represented with the star or the asterisk on it, while the non-superimposable mirror image or the achiral carbon will be written simply. So this is all about the optical activity, or what type of compounds are optically active, what make a compound optically active or optically inactive.